Welcome in to Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps here for our Week 3 preview show, John. Last week, tons of big games all across the state, lots of high-profile matchups. This week, maybe not so much, but it seems to be whenever we have those maybe not as prolific matchups, you get some better games, some better upsets, and it's going to be a great week as always, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've first really 3 weeks of football. You count week 0. We've had a lot of surprises, and you love that. You love that. You love the unpredictability. I saw somebody, I think, a tweet over the weekend about college football, and the comment was, college football, life's greatest reality TV show. And I tell you what, that is even more true, I think, with high school football here in South Carolina. We've had really treated well with some really good football these first 3 weeks of the season. Some good upsets, some teams that we didn't know that would be really good or really good. You and Jarrell got to see one last week in Midland Valley. They were awfully fun, have been fun to watch. And you're right. We don't know what we're going to see Friday, and that's what's so exciting. But I'm sure Friday night about 11 o'clock, we'll be talking about some wild stuff that went down.
No doubt about it. Well, if you guys just tuned in for the first time, we appreciate you. Check us out here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS.com is our website. Always at the .com now, John. It's just like part of our lexicon. I'm messing up, but whatever. MovinChains.com is the website. Like our video here, share it, tell your friends, put it in the groups. Love to have you guys hop in here, comment your thoughts on your team, about the game to talk about. Love to have you join us. We do a live preview show here on Tuesday nights about 7 o'clock on YouTube and Facebook. We do our recap show on Sundays that comes out. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. We do our Friday Night Spaces over on Twitter/X. It's basically a scoreboard show about 10:30, 11. It's a lot of fun to hop in there. Lots of great stuff for you guys, including some interviews coming up too that should be really good, John. But let's start now with our CONA games of the week. Check them out, CONA.care, to learn more about their services. A big-time 1A matchup here to start off, John, and that's Blackville-Hilda, the Fighting Hawks at 3-0, traveling to take on Bamberg-Ehrhardt, 2-1. Bamberg-Ehrhardt is. They won this ballgame last year, 28-20, a close one. Blackville-Hilda, 39-0 over Allendale Fairfax last week. Bamberg-Ehrhardt, 17-7 over Barnwell. John, Blackville-Hilda has kind of been a little bit of a under-the-radar 1A team, but they've got a couple nice wins. They beat Barnwell 2 weeks ago on the road. Can they keep that momentum going, and can they upset Bamberg, you think?
I tell you, I think that Barnwell that win was big.
Yeah, huge.
But Bamberg-Ehrhardt, they've also knocked off Barnwell as well.
Yep.
They've done that too. They've matched that. I think this could be two pretty evenly matched teams. I like Bamberg-Ehrhardt. They're at home. If this game was at Blackville-Hilda, I might swing the other way. But I'll be honest with you, Kev. Part of me is the brand, the Bamberg-Ehrhardt brand.
Yep.
I believe in them. They had that. They stumbled a little bit with that one loss. I think they lost to
Denmark 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
We just talked about teams that could be really good that we didn't know were good going into this year. Denmark-Olar.
Yep.
Top of that list. I like Bamberg-Ehrhardt a little bit at home. They rebounded. What I really like about Bamberg-Ehrhardt, they rebounded off of that Denmark-Olar loss and beat a good Barnwell team last week.
Yeah, quarterback Chanston Crosby is a really good athlete, really good player for them. They got 21 of 22 starters back this year for Coach Crosby's squad. I mean, that's a lot of experience there. Wide receiver Anthony Williams, one of our Super 75 guys, is a player outside for those guys. Blackville-Hilda, Coach Kevin Jones in his second year has really instilled kind of a toughness in that team, a belief in that team. I've seen some of his pregame speeches and halftime speeches. He really understands those kids. I think they really want to play hard for him. A couple guys, Jaquel Holman is a really good running back. Quarterback Samari Williams getting it done through the air and on the ground as well. Defensively led by Holman and Priester. Yeah, he goes both ways. Of course, a lot of these 1A guys do here. Blackville-Hilda, I mean, I think that they want to get some respect. I don't know if you guys saw it last week. There was a tweet from Coach Jones when the polls came out, and a little disappointed that his team hadn't made it into the polls yet after their big win. They have creeped in now. They still are fighting for that respect. They think they're a very good football team, and I think they're pretty good as well, John. I'm going to lean Bamberg, like you said, a little more experience, a little more depth, I think, right now. and then playing at home too. I like Bamberg-Ehrhardt in a close ball game, I think.
Yeah, and this is the only, if you go by the Prep Media poll, this is the only top 10 matchup within its own classification.
Yeah.
2 1A teams going at it. So pretty big spotlight around the state on this ball game too.
Should be a lot of fun down in 1A. Now we go to a cross classification matchup here for our second CONA game of the week. 2 high-powered offenses, John, and that's the Westside Rams traveling down to Big A to take on the Abbeville Panthers. Westside comes in at 1-1 off a 42-30 win over rival TL Hanna last week. Abbeville sits at 3-0. I mean, the comeback kids, John, right now, they come back last week. They beat Southside Christian 22-21. They were down multiple scores last week, just like they were the week before, to Powdersville, but they continue to get wins when it matters. They go for too late to win that ball game. Westside won this matchup last year 31-20, but this was earlier in the year. Abbeville still had some injuries. Harrison was not playing at that point. Antonio Tubu was out then. Zay Rayford also out at this point. Abbeville's a good football team. They keep fighting back somehow. Can they do it 3 weeks in a row? Because my worry is if you start off slow against Westside, I don't know if you can catch up with that high-powered offense led by Cutter Woods.
Yeah, that's certainly an issue that you want to be mindful of if you're Abbeville. But yeah, I'll counter that with, if you're Westside, well, you got to take advantage of your offensive opportunities.
Yeah,
because Abbeville, they are very physical. They have a very very tough physical run game, and it doesn't matter that Westside is 4A. They're physical enough to compete and bang them up a little bit on the ground when the Panthers have the football. And I expect that they will try to do that as well. So you don't want to get into a situation, if you're Westside, where you misfire on a couple offensive drives, and then you find yourself going, oh boy, it's the fourth quarter, we're running out of time. They're holding the ball for 4, 5, 6 minutes when they get it. I think Abbeville wins this game because that's all they've been doing this year. They've played a really good Southside Christian team last week, beat them. Played a really, really good Powdersville team week prior, beat them. Abbeville just has it. They just have it. And with Westside, I just don't know. I need a little bit more information on these guys because they played a BHP team that they had their number.
Yeah.
They had their number. I expected Westside to win that ball game. They got beat by 2 scores.
Yeah.
And then they turn right back around and they beat TL Hanna. So, it depends on what kind of ball team comes out for the Rams on Friday. But I like Abbeville on this one.
Westside led by quarterback Cutter Woods, like I mentioned, a stud, big-time prospect. Going to get a lot of Power 5 offers here coming up soon. Wide receiver Josh Williams had, I think, 3 touchdowns last week. Obviously, D. Robertson and Sherody Richardson doing a good job on offense as well. They are hampered a little bit. Jamar Boston, the big-time recruit, is playing defense only right now. Had an injury. I don't know if it's a wrist or a hand, but not playing receiver. Darius, he is out right now. I think he's just playing defense for them. He is committing tonight between NC State and Virginia Tech. We'll probably see that come down during the show at some point, see where he's going. But Jamar Boston is a really good player. They will miss him on offense there. The question for those guys has been the last couple of years, can they stop anybody? Coach Brian Lane comes in. So far, they haven't played a lot of great defense, but TL Hanna's offense is tough. I'll give them that. But BHP ran all over those guys. So we'll see what they can do this week. Abbeville led by Patterson and Norman running the ball there. DeMarcus Leach is a playmaker, man. He's a special kid. I think he's playing some quarterback now as well. Darius, you may know, and can help us out with this. I think Jay Hill went out with an injury last week. Is that right? I don't know if he's in or out this week. I don't know, but Leach is a special player, can get it done at quarterback if he has to. Obviously, a tough place to play down at Abbeville. Always is. I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of points in this ballgame. I don't think Westside has stopped anybody really yet. Abbeville's giving up some points as well. I think we're seeing a high-scoring matchup between the Panthers and the Rams.
I think so, and I think you're right. We talk about that Westside defense being a little spotty. Their first 2 games, they played pretty quality opponents, and even though in a loss, they put up 28 against a very good BHP team, a physical BHP team, and then, of course, 42 on Hanna, which is pretty impressive, especially knowing the offense that Hanna has.
Yeah.
They shorten the ball game. They take a lot of air out of the ball with that option offense that they really run the clock. So to score 42 in that type of game is even more impressive. I think you're right. I think you're on something. I think we can see a lot of points in this ball game too, because Abbeville, they're gonna be able to run the ball you expect and move the ball downfield. They got the home field advantage too. This very well could be one of those 42-40 kind of ball games.
And it could be something too where Westside's defense is hampered a little bit already, but then if they're scoring quick with some pass plays, maybe some big plays to Williams or Robertson, then Abbeville's turning around and having long grinding drives with that run game. Defense right back on the field quickly again for Westside. They may get one in even quicker than we think, but that should be a really fun ball game down there in Abbeville. Our third CONA game of the week, a 5A matchup here, John. A team that's been pretty intriguing so far here, and that's Boiling Springs sitting at 2-1, traveling over to Chandler Stadium to take on the Hillcrest Rams sitting at 3-0. Hillcrest blew them out 48-0 last year on the road. This is a different Boiling Springs team, John. They beat Chapman last week 29-7. Quarterback Lincoln Husky, the lefty, has 9 touchdowns on the season. Running back Rashawn Morgan went 18 for 130 and 2 touchdowns last week. Omar Cotton, JoJo Barrett, and Jameer Wright are leading the defense. In year 2 under Coach Real, these guys have started to figure it out. It seems like playing a lot better football the last few weeks. And then flipping over to the Hillcrest side, a team that we've been high on the last couple of years, got a lot of explosive playmakers, and they still do here. Caleb Sutton, the quarterback, 2 touchdowns last week. He's a dual threat guy, can run it and throw it. Running back Thomas Stanley is a really violent, explosive runner for them. Everybody knows about Avery McFadden, one of the better players in the state. Can score anytime he touches the ball. Grant Holiday is a speedster out wide as well. Tyson Moses leading that defense, John. I think in this game, both these teams are kind of flying under the radar a little bit, in 5A. I think Hillcrest and Boiling Springs are really looking for a chance to kind of announce their presence here in the upper state.
Yeah, and Hillcrest comes into the media poll this week at number 5, and I think that's pretty accurate. I think that's fair. Hillcrest should win this game because of all that talent that you said, that they have. But you look at the short resume of this season, Boiling Springs has been more impressive to me. They beat a Chapman team that, you go, Chapman's 3A. They should win that game. Yeah, they should. That's a Chapman team that just came off of a big-time win against Burns.
Yeah.
They control the game against Chapman. Very impressive. Their loss was a 1-score loss to TL Hanna to start the season off. Last 2 weeks, they've given up 7 points. The defense looks pretty solid for Boiling Springs. Hillcrest should win this game. They're at home. They have more talent. But, boy, I think Boiling Springs, to me, is playing better right now.
I'm a big fan of what Coach Schweigert's done so far with the Rams. Obviously, we talk about McFadden and how explosive he is. They've done a great job of getting him the ball multiple ways, whether that's, running the ball or receiving it, getting him involved in a plethora of options is really good for them. And I think that the key for me, Hillcrest at home gives them an advantage. And also, in these big games, John, special teams is always huge. Hillcrest has a really good special teams, especially a return game with McFadden back there. He can score anytime he touches the ball in the return game, punt or kickoff return. I like Hillcrest in a close ball game here. This should be a fun one over there in Simpsonville Friday night.
And this also could be a pretty high-scoring game, too. Boiling Springs just shows some pretty good offense. Demetrius, you're absolutely right. They are loaded. They were loaded last year, too. They just got to do it. They got to make the plays. It's easier said than done, right? It's going to be an exciting game, and this could be a high-scoring affair, too. Again, I agree with you. I think Hillcrest – I'm not going to say, and I know this sounds like a weasel way out. I'm not going to say I think Hillcrest wins the game. Hillcrest should win the game. I have no idea what's going to happen in this one. I'm really excited to see what happens Friday night over in Simpsonville for this game.
I can almost guarantee it's going to be more competitive than last year's 48-0 score. I will certainly say that as well. But our fourth CONA game of the week, John, and this is a big one, a really fun game here. 2 premier programs in the PD region. And that's Hartsville at 3-0, traveling to Dillon Memorial Stadium to take on the Dillon Wildcats, who are sitting at 2-0. John, Hartsville continues to roll. They beat Camden last week 55-21. The game wasn't that close, honestly, which is hard to say when you beat them by 34, but it wasn't even that close. Last week, Hartsville, they racked up 597 yards of offense, 455 on the ground. I mean, when you think of Camden, John, you think of big, physical, tough. Hartsville out-physical those boys and just ran all over them last Friday night. I mean, they are going to be tough for anybody to stop. But can Dillon do it? A team that, Hartsville had a big lead last year. Dillon comes back to beat them 59-35 in the second half. Do we see something like that this year? Or do we think Hartsville and the Red Foxes and Coach Calabrese are a little too much?
I was just about to say what you're saying right there. I mean, these guys are living double nickel life.
Yeah.
55 every game. Dillon's good. I don't think they're good enough to win this game. Not 2 years in a row against Hartsville. Hartsville seems to really have it clicking right now. Can they do it all year? Who knows? Dillon's been good. Dillon has been, I think, what we've expected Dillon to be, playing really good defense. They're not scoring 55 a game. They don't have to. This game is going to be between the white walls. I think that really helps Dillon here. But what Hartsville did to Camden last week, I mean, it's hard. It's hard for me to think that Dillon they might be better than Camden. It's hard for me to think that they're that much better than Camden. I think Hartsville, they're the real deal here in 4A. I think they win this game. It'll be interesting for me, it'll be interesting how close it is and see how well if Dillon can make this or keep this game competitive all 4 quarters, honestly.
Dillon defeated Wilson 31-13 last week, led by Josiah Oxidine, of course, at quarterback, the young kid with getting more and more experience there with them. Running backs Felton and McCallum putting up big numbers for them. Defensively, McCallum getting it done on that side as well. 13 tackles last week. Palmer, Brown, and Campbell also key pieces on that side. One thing about that Wilson game, John, that worries me for Dillon, last year we felt like a theme for them was starting out slow, big second halves. Last week, that game against Wilson was 7-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
So I'm a little worried we're going down that path again, and I don't know if you can do that against Hartsville.
It won't be 7-7 if you start out slow against the Red Foxes.
Yeah. Hartsville, McKendry Douglas, one of our Super 75 guys, a quarterback there, threw for 119 last week, ran for 129. Carmelo McDaniel, another Super 75 guy, stud, 16 for 185, 5 touchdowns last week. Hakeem Waters putting up big numbers as well. Defensively, Demarion Coe and Webb Barnes there, 100 tackles plus last year for both of those guys. And I don't know if we have any Dillon fans in here right now, but I don't think Jamarion Fling played last week. Is he healthy? Is he in, out? If you guys have any update, love to hear that from you guys. He's one of the premier players in the area as well. But what worries me about this, when we talked about them, you can't get behind early. I mean, that's a huge piece there. Playing at home, big advantage. Obviously, the white walls is tough, but this Hartsville team has a lot of experience. They got a senior at quarterback, senior running back, seniors on defense, seniors up front. I don't think it may shake them as much as it would some other teams this week.
Yeah, and we talk. It seems like every week we talk about that region that Hartsville is in. Hartsville is used to playing really, really good football teams and playing in really tough places. They played Camden last week, and they had no problem with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and
we know Camden brings the intensity. That starts from the top down with Coach Remp at Camden. They have an attitude about them. It didn't faze Hartsville. That I don't think. Yeah, being at home, being in between the white walls, that's going to help Dillon, but it's not going to be something where Hartsville comes inside that building and goes, oh boy, we've never seen anything like this before. We're shook all of a sudden. I don't think that's going to happen.
One more thing I'm interested to see here. We talked to Coach Roller in our season preview show. He talked a little bit about the depth of their lines. A bunch of guys going both ways on O-line and D-line. That's typical for a lot of the skill guys at that 1 and 2A and 3A level, but not a lot of the offensive line. If you can help it, this year they don't have quite the depth they usually do, so all those guys are going both ways. Do they wear out even, a little bit earlier against a tough Hartsville team that's going to run it a ton with that offense with Coach Calabrese there? How long can they hold up front is a worry for me. I think Hartsville wins this game. I mean, we've been doing this show for, 5-6 years now, John? I think we probably picked against Dillon at home one time ever.
You can count on one hand.
I mean, not many. So this would be a big deal for Hartsville to win this game. But the Red Foxes are playing so good right now. I think they do go on the road and win this ballgame over Dillon.
Yeah, and they certainly should. And for Dillon, it's not – Dillon fans don't, oh boy, sky is falling.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world for sure.
If they get beat up in this ballgame, I don't think that's a big deal. Hey, Camden just did too. I don't think this is – if a loss here is an indicator that Dillon's in trouble by any means.
Yeah. Our 5th CONA game of the week, our SCISA game of the week here. Pinewood Prep 0-3, traveling to First Baptist 0-2. A rivalry game here, John. 2 new head coaches in Devontae Holloman at Pinewood Prep. Jamal Birch, First Baptist, looking for their first win. Last week, Pinewood Prep lost a thriller to Ben Lippin 28-21. First Baptist got blown out by James Island 64-0, but I mean, that's James Island. They're the real deal there. Last year, Pinewood Prep won this ballgame 35-12. They're led at quarterback by Will Watson, a dual threat guy for them. Linebacker Corley Watson is a really big-time player. Wide receiver Jack Burnett, DE Zach Tyler, a few of the names there for the Panthers. On the First Baptist side, quarterback is Jacoby Riley, is a really good dual threat guy there. Running back Merritt Gibbs, wide receiver Russell Lee, defensively led by Bessinger, Troyer, and Courtney. John, which team do you think gets their first win and gets the head coach his first win at the new program?
I'm gonna go with Pinewood.
Okay.
I feel like they seem to be getting a little bit closer, and that blowout last week for First Baptist, that scares me.
Yeah. It's interesting, because Pinewood 0-3, but they played some pretty good teams. They played Lawrence Manning, played Ben Lippin, played Buford Academy, 3 really solid squads there. So no shame in losing those 3 ball games, but you are a little surprised that they're at that point. I'm going to go First Baptist at home. I think Coach Birch gets his first win, but it should be a fun ball game down there in the Charleston area. So that's our 5 CONA games of the week. Blackville-Hilda at Bamberg-Ehrhardt, Westside at Abbeville, Boiling Springs at Hillcrest, Hartsville at Dillon, and then Pinewood Prep at First Baptist. CONA.care to learn more about CONA services. They are the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. That's CONA.care. Drill, any comments that we need to talk about on our games of the week before we go shout out to our friends of the program here?
I'm going to throw up a bunch just so they don't get lost in the shuffle. So they're going to be coming at you.
Yeah, very likely. Derek, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Hartsville beat Dillon. Yeah, I think, I mean, a lot of guys are leaning that way. Southside, big Hartsville. Yeah, those boys are playing good, man. Game like the Hawks are tough. Derek, good to see you, buddy. What's up, Mark? Good to see you, man.
Hey, Mark,
Wagner Sally, big win last week as well. Justin, what's up? Justin, good to see you, man. Lattice playing some good ball. Region 4 1A is the toughest. Yeah, there's a lot of good squads. Calhoun County's really good. Denmark's really good. Wagner Sally's tough. A lot of tough programs on there, Mark, for sure. Go great. They've got a tough one against Camden here this week, John.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one in a minute. Yep, Justin's got Hartsville, as I think most folks do, it seems like. Saluda Tigers, they are playing really good football right now. Yeah, Dion, you're exactly right,
it's
man.
It's very tough.
I mean, that's a spot where they don't lose very often. Yeah, Hartsville, different level.
Anthony, I think you're right.
Yeah. Marlboro, let's just decide Marlboro is a sneaky good game, too, I feel like, down there in the low country. Hartsville, South Lawrence. Everybody's waiting on that one, man. That'll be a big-time matchup if things continue to trend the way they are. Terrence, good to see you, man. Dear Mark Earl, you know your boys are rolling. Great to have you in here as always.
All right, guys, we're going to go thank some sponsors real quick and then just go to the other side if that's cool with y'all.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's do it.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Okay, let's go back and take a look, John, now at the 5A slate for this week. If you guys have a game you want to ask about, feel free to throw it in there. We'll go through 5A down through the SCISA rank, so definitely throw in your comments as we go through them. But, John, let's start here at the 5A with the big boys and go from there.
Yeah, we'll start in the low country. Ashley Ridge will be hosting Colleton County. Berkeley going to be hosting West Ashley. Berkeley coming off that tough loss with Somerville. A little bit of a reality check for those guys.
That's an interesting game there. We'll see. Obviously, Berkeley, won a couple ball games early, a couple close ones there. Got smacked in the mouth last week. We'll see what they're made of this week against a pretty good West Ashley team. Interesting ball game there for Coach Lodge and the Stags.
Yes, it is. Lexington will be at Blythe. I think this could be a sneaky good game too. Lexington, just for me, hasn't started out as well as I thought they would.
I was surprised. They had to kick a field goal to beat Stratford last second. They've got a good squad, of course. A good running game as always with Coach Curtis there. Blythewood, they can put up some points with Harrison Collins. Obviously, Edward Robinson on defense, wreaks havoc there. I think Lexington wins this ball game, but that is an interesting Midlands matchup for sure.
I could see an upset there. We've gotten this one. This is intriguing here. South Florence going to Carolina Forest. I'm still high on Carolina Forest. I think the Panthers are probably better than what most people are giving them credit for. I don't think they're as good as South Florence, but if they can keep the game somewhat competitive, I think that'll be pretty telling for them.
I mean, a couple tough losses. Carolina Forest loses to Oceanside by a point last week. 2 weeks ago, loses to Somerville, number 1 in 5A by a score. Very, very good football team. South Florence, though, they are starting to figure it out. Obviously, they had a lot of pieces to replace from last year. They are getting better and better, it seems like, on offense especially. Interesting ball game down there.
We'll have York at Clover. Stratford will be at Dutch Fork. Dutch Fork, boy, they need to get back on the tracks.
Do they get their first win this week, John? I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say yes, but Stratford played pretty tough last week.
They did.
It could be a tough game. Indian Land will be at Fort Mill. Beaufort going to Goose Creek. Greenville will host Malden.
Greenville, a team that needs a win as well. 2 L's in a row. Mazio Bennett injured last week. Not sure if he's back or not. They need him in that lineup, of course. I think Greenville looks too much talent there for the Mavericks.
Yeah, they should certainly win this ball game. We'll have Burns at Greer. Bowling Springs at Hillcrest. Talk about one of our games of the week.
I want to mention that Burns at Greer game. I think Burns is a much better football team. A lot more talent. But interesting to see if they can do it 2 weeks in a row. That they played a really good week 0, beat Huff. Week 1, kind of laid egg against Chapman. Played good last week against Greenville. Can they put together 2 good weeks in a row? I think they win this ball game. I think they win it pretty easily. But I hope and I want to see them put together 2 back-to-back consistent performances.
Yeah, and Friday night's the time to do it.
Yeah,
and I think they've got the opportunity to do that. That game is at Greer. It's a little bit of a rivalry game, right? But I think, Burns certainly more talented, and I think they do get it back on the tracks. I say back on the tracks. They looked really good last week.
Yeah.
Can they? But like you said, can they do it 2 weeks in a row? I think so. I think Burns is going to be just fine.
Yeah.
We'll have Easley going to JL Man. JL Man, they're sneakily could be good this year as well.
Yeah, I like JL Man a lot. Great offense, McClellan and Anderson and crew there. I think they win this ball game. They put up a lot of points right now. I think they continue to do so.
They've actually, JL Man, they've actually talking about sneaking. They have snuck into the top 10 of the 5A poll this week as well. We'll have Rock Hill going to Lower Richland. Gaffney will go to Mallard Creek, North Carolina. This will be a little bit of a revenge game for the Indians. I went to this game last year at the reservation. Mallard Creek a little bit too much for Gaffney. I'm interested to see if Gaffney can clean it up a little bit. They had a little bit of sloppy play, a little bit of undisciplined play in their win against South Point Friday, but they need to be better if they want to accomplish what they want to accomplish this year. And this is this game where they're going to have to do it. Mallard
Creek, always a really solid program. A lot of athletes there, as always. I think Gaffney wins this ball game. They're starting to figure out a little better. Little John had a big game last week. Staten's getting a little more comfortable there at the quarterback spot. McDowell's a stud, of course. The defense playing better and better. Holding South Point last week at 21 was a pretty good performance there. I think the Indians go on the road and win this game, but it will not be easy.
Yeah, and that defensive line for Gaffney is still playing really good. They've been good for years, and they very good last Friday against South Point too. We'll have Socastee going to Myrtle Beach. Newberry will be hosting Chapin. RB Stahl will go to North Charleston. We'll have Conway at North Myrtle Beach.
One of those teams, I think, gets their first win this way. I think they're both winless, I believe. North Myrtle Beach may have one win. I don't think they do.
I don't think
Conway I know, is winless. So somebody at the beach is getting off the snide down there.
I like the Chiefs in that one. I think the Chiefs at home win this one. We'll have Nation Ford at Northwestern. Nation Ford may be a little bit better than what we've given them credit for. I don't think they're Northwestern good, though, but I think they are a little bit better.
They've been frisky. They have been. A big win over Catawba Ridge last week. First time in school history they've done that. Northwestern, we know they're a powerhouse, as always. But Nation Ford, maybe a team to look out for. I think they can keep this one, fairly close, but I don't think they have a chance to win it, honestly.
Probably not. Spring Valley will be at Ridgeview. Good rivalry game there in Northeast Columbia. I like Ridgeview in that ball game, but that's fun. That's a fun matchup, fun little rivalry game there. South Aiken will be at River Bluff. River Bluff, they got to get it corrected.
Yeah, that was a surprise game last week,
as I thought they would be. Yeah, at this point this year, but they have time. Spartanburg will have a learning opportunity Friday where they host Grayson, Georgia. Grayson, one of the premier programs, the state of Georgia.
Grayson on a little South Carolina tear here. They played Fort Dorchester last week. Played Spartanburg this week. I want to see Spartanburg's offense do something, but this is not the game. I don't think to see it. Grayson's very good, so it's gonna be a tough night for the Vikings.
Yeah, I want to say Grayson shut out Fort Dorchester last week. I want to say that was maybe
they
41, 42 nothing ball game.
They did.
Yeah, they're very good. We'll have Lake City going to St. James. Sumter will host Crestwood, a little Sumter County matchup there.
I like that matchup there. Sumter, a big physical team. I think they're going to have more depth, more guys, up front, of course. They're going to be able to kind of pound the ball on Crestwood. But Javion Martin in the Knights there, they're going to put up some points. Like, Drell and I saw Sumter play Ridgeview a couple weeks back. We thought there were some opportunities for Ridgeview to throw the ball on Sumter. Didn't really take advantage. If Crestwood can hold up front and give Martin enough time to pick those guys apart, I think he's got a chance for a big game. I think Sumter wins this one, but Crestwood could make it very interesting. County Championship, you're right, Ryan. That'll be a great ball game on Friday night, but I think Sumter wins it, but it should be an interesting ball game. Deion Crestwood by 7. It could happen. That would be a great upset for those guys, but they have the athletes and the talent to do it. Every week I feel like it's a new receiver having big games for them, so you got a lot of playmakers out wide for sure.
Yeah, I was very impressed by that Crestwood performance against Gray. We know Gray's a pretty good team. You already saw them in person this year, and boy, that was just a light show. I mean, that was a 62-60 ball game with Crestwood and Gray. So yeah, that could be a really, really fun game in Sumter County Friday between two really good teams.
Yeah,
we'll have a pretty good one in Anderson County potentially. Ren will be at TL Hanna. TL Hanna, another, I'm not sure what to think about him yet.
I can't figure him out, man. But then, Ren, really good win last week over a Seneca team that had not given up any points in 2 weeks. Ren puts 40-something on them. Coach Freight's got a younger team there. They're going to continue to get better and better. Are they, developed enough to beat TL Hanna this week? Probably not. But this could be a fun ball game. I think Hanna gets a win, bounces back, but I think it's going to be closer than what people might think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think so too. And, Ren impressed me when they played Jefferson, played, and his name escapes me now.
Sammy Brown.
Sammy Brown, one of the best top 50 player in the country. And Ren was very competitive. That game, and played that game on the road too, correct?
Or was that Ren. That was at Ren. Yep.
So that was impressive. I think the Hurricanes actually they could have a pretty good team.
Yeah.
That region really could be up for grabs.
It's going to be tough.
We'll have Woodmont go to Travelers Rest.
Woodmont has been looking pretty good lately. Jordan Sink doing a good job at quarterback there. Got a couple playmakers outside around him. Travelers Rest, a tough loss last week. Fell to Palmetto, who Woodmont already beat. I think Woodmont wins this ballgame over at Chico Bowling.
I think so too.
I think so 3. Woodmont wins.
We'll have Somerville, number 1 team in 5A right now. They will go to Wando. Should be a win for the Green Wave there. And then wrapping up 5A, Westwood will be at White Knoll.
Westwood playing some good ball as well under Coach O'Connell there. They played competitively against Blackwood. Last we had a chance to win, so couldn't quite pull it out. White Knoll played Saturday due to some weather issues there. Landon Sharp at quarterback and sling it all over the yard. I think White Knoll wins this one, but could be a fun ball game there in 5A. Drill, any comments we need to address here before we roll on into the 5A rank, or excuse me, the 4A ranks?
Yep, just got a few for you. I know Derek had a question. I think it's a Lakeview question.
Derek, I haven't heard. I was surprised that game got canceled because I don't really know the reason for it. It kind of seemed like him was maybe ducking the game, but I don't know. But I have not heard about them changing that yet. Jay, good to see you, man. Appreciate you being in there. Rams, yeah, I like Hillcrest over Bowling Springs as well. Should be a good ball game. Greg, what's going on? Big game for Abbeville this week. We talked about that earlier in the show. Go check out that game of the week there, Westside and Abbeville. South thinking about 14. They need a win, Dion. They need a win, man. They're on 0 right now, so we'll see.
Oh, that's gonna be fun, Jay.
You got some great highlights. Looking forward to checking out those real stuff after that ball game for sure.
Jay, call us on Spaces on Friday.
Yeah, hop into the Spaces, man.
Yeah, I like to hear the lowdown on that game.
Yeah, get on Twitter with us. Love to have you join us for that.
And I gotta agree, man. I think there's some opportunities for Crestwood in that game. I think they could put up some numbers. That secondary didn't really get tested. Ridgeview had some receivers open. They had some stuff, just didn't have the quarterback play. But I think Javion Martin's a real deal. So that's gonna be fun to watch.
And Drew, I feel like too. I mentioned they've got to have the line play, give him time up front. But I think he's probably a little bit more comfortable on the run than what we saw from the Ridgeview quarterback as well. So it won't be as big of a deal, I would say, as it was in that ball game. But I think they can score some points. Can they put up enough? I don't know.
Probably going to be completely wrong, but I think that's going to be a close game.
Love it.
All right, want to jump in 4A?
Let's do it.
Game of the week here. Lead it off Westside at Abbeville.
Yeah.
Go back a little bit. We talk about that game. That's going to be a really fun one over in Abbeville. This could be a pretty good game here too. AC Flora hosting Brooklyn Casey, Bearcat team that started off pretty good this season. AC Flora maybe not as good as I thought they would be. Some opportunity here for the Bearcats.
This is a game that I think it's on our pick'em actually by Hannah Engineering. Brooklyn Casey, they've looked very impressive. They haven't really played teams that I know a lot about. They beat, I think, Harding out of North Carolina, who I don't know anything about so far. Beat a couple other schools I'm not really up to date on. AC Flora, we know they had the tough loss to Greenwood earlier in the season. Coach Floyd, year 2 there, leaning on that defense a little more than they had to last year. They're going to be growing up throughout the season. Interesting 3A4 matchup here. And AC Flora won this one big last year. Could be closer this year, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit closer, a lot closer. Catawba Ridge will go to Ardrey-Kell, North Carolina, Friday. Colleton County at Ashley Ridge. Bishop England hosting James Island. Lawrence will be at Chapman. Riverside going to Christ Church.
That's a good ball game there. Riverside, good bounce back win last week after the loss to JLMan 2 weeks ago. Christ Church continues to impress after that week 0 loss. They went on the road last week and beat Asheville School. Jackson Rep, big game for those guys there. Tucker Hendricks getting more and more, comfortable there. Deshaun Reeder, obviously a stud there for Christ Church. I think they knock off Riverside. They beat them last year. They beat them again this year. That's a fun game in Greenville County.
Yeah, I think this game is on our pick 'em too, because I remember looking at this game for a very long time. Thinking, man, I don't know who's going to win this one. And this game is at Christ Church.
It is over at Carson Stadium.
A little bit here. That could be a really good game. I'm interested to see what happens Friday night on that one too. We'll have Aiken going to Clinton.
I think Clinton rolls here. They are having some injury issues, though. Lost Jaden Robinson 2 weeks ago, star running back. Their other running back, the Copeland kid, also went out last week. Not sure if he's back or not. May have to throw the ball a little bit more this year than what they typically do. But I think that they're fine in this ball game. But I'm a little bit worried about the Red Devils as the season goes on, how much depth they have there. And hopefully we'll get Zach in here in sometime soon to give us some thoughts on the ball game as well.
Yeah, hopefully those guys can get back healthy and stay healthy for the duration of the season. Blue Ridge will be at Eastside. Fairfield Central hosting Lancaster. North Augusta going to Greenwood. This is a Greenwood team that could be better than what we've given them credit for. They beat Dorman as well this year and AC Flora. 2 pretty good wins on their resume. Yeah,
Greenwood is kind of looks reinvigorated. I was a little worried about them going into the season, honestly. Losing V. Morton, losing Josiah Jeffrey, things like that. They've played well so far. North Augusta, had a tough loss a couple weeks ago to that Dorman squad. They got a couple wins over some Georgia teams. Don't know a lot about those guys. Not sure how they stack up right now, but that's 2 premier programs, 2 historic programs in the state. Will be a fun matchup down there at Bab.
We'll have Lucy Beckham going to Hanahan.
Another team, another game on our pick'em there. 2 low country teams that I think are both pretty good. Hanahan, close win week 0 over Georgetown. Close loss to Berkeley week 1. Off last week. Lucy Beckham continues to just demolish everyone they play. Really strong on defense. Coach Smith's doing a great job there with that program, only in year 2 of varsity football there for them. I think they're probably a little too much for Hanahan this week, but I like the fact the Hawks have had 2 weeks to prepare for this ballgame. That's
true.
A big plus. Kayvon Rivera, if you can get him going and shorten the game, they've got a real chance, but I think I'm going to lean Lucy Beckham here.
I tell you what, if Rivera breaks loose, though, if he has a big game, could be Hanahan.
Yeah.
This is another game. There's not many games that we look at on the slate and go, whoa, this is an all-timer. But there's a bunch of games like this. Boy, this could be a really good ball game.
Yep.
We'll have Wilson going to Hilton Head.
Wilson needs a win bad, man. They have struggled against some lower-level competition in the last couple weeks.
Lugoff Elgin will host Airport.
That could be a good ball game there. You don't think so? Airport defeated Lamar 10-2 last week. A young team that's growing up. Lugoff, nice win over Darlington. A very improved Darlington team last week.
Improved, yeah. They won that game 7-0. So this could be a first team scores, wins the game.
Defensive battle over there.
Maybe just skip to overtime. We'll do the Kansas City shootout from the 10 and see what happens. We'll have Ridgeland Hardyville go to May River. Midland Valley will host Harlem, Georgia. Huge win for the Mustangs last week against Silver Bluff. Hopefully they can keep that rolling. I don't know anything about this Harlem team out of Georgia.
Agreed.
But hopefully Midland Valley is the better team on this one here.
Yeah, if you guys have listened to our recap show, go check that out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. We have a full recap of that Midland Valley Silver Bluff game from week 2. A lot of really good action. We've got our interviews posted with Coach Chapman and Trayvon Dunbar and Evan Phillips. Those are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well. So check that out from last week's ball game.
We'll have
Yeah, Middle Valley, I think they're a team that, people weren't talking a lot about going into the season. They have looked really impressive so far, some really nice wins. And I think with what we're seeing in that region, they got a real chance to win that thing now, I think, John.
I think so too. And Dion, I think they've already shocked a few people. They shocked me a little bit. I knew they would be pretty decent this year, but I've been impressed. I've been really impressed. We'll have Berea go to Wade Hampton. West Florence will host Dreer. White Knoll hosting Westwood. And then to close out this is a very fun matchup here. Chester going to South Point. Expect South Point to win this ball game. They should be the better team here. But interesting matchup. Chester with a big win over Fairfield Central last Friday.
That Cyclones defense was super impressive, shutting out Fairfield Central last week, all the talent they've got there for the Griffins. The offense still worries me a little bit, but you saw, South Point firsthand last week, John. They've got athletes everywhere. It's similar thing to Gaffney. If they can clean up some penalties there, clean up some mistakes. This is a team that's already beaten Spartanburg, a team that, who knocked off Dutch Fork a couple weeks later there. South Point, a lot of athletes, a lot of talent at home. I think it's too much for Chester. But the Cyclones, they could hang around in this one.
Yeah, and, if you're Chester, you got that tape from Friday when the South Point played Gaffney, and you saw all the missed opportunities and just mental errors that South Point was making. Just looked a little out of sorts. Part of that probably being in front of that many people at the reservation. That has an effect on you for sure. But yeah, they got to clean it up a little bit, because if they don't, they could get bit 2 weeks in a row. I think they're good enough to overcome that against Chester. But hey, we've seen in football, you make mistakes, they kill you. They kill you, no matter what level of football you're at. The better team doesn't always win.
Terrell, any 4A comments to roll through before we go into 3A? Abbeville by 7. Yeah, that's been a great ball game, Greg. Justin, something by 24. Hey, I mean, if they start leaning on those guys, it could happen.
Yeah.
Blackville beat Bamberg. That's been a trendy pick, it seems like, by a lot of folks, John. A-Town on a close one. Let's go Louisville. Back-to-back shutouts for the Lions. The boys are rolling, Adrian. That week 0 loss is shooking off already. They're shaking it off already. Middle of that by 14. Yeah, I'll take it. Really good O-line. Those boys are big up front, man, on both sides of the ball. They really are.
Awesome. And then I want Leonard to know, Leonard, you got a long comment. It was for John. Leonard just wants you to know, don't let you sitting on the visitor side of the stands taint your opinion of Gaffney. We'll share that with John after the show, Leonard.
Hey, I've got a great opinion of Gaffney. Leonard, my decision was based on where I could sit.
Yeah.
I got there maybe, 10, 15 minutes before kickoff, and it was either sit on the 15-yard line on the Gaffney side or 40-yard line on the South Point side. So that was the decision. But I got caught red-handed. I saw on Twitter that I was on the other side.
Yeah, a couple comments too. I did see the South Florence repeat. Man, they are one of the favorites. I think 4A is kind of up for grabs. I like those guys a lot. I like Hartsville a lot. I like Northwestern a lot. I like James Island a lot. Greenville. A lot of depth in 4A right now, I think, Jay. It might be too early to call that one. I did see a couple comments, Strel, about the Bowling Springs Hillcrest game. If you guys missed our preview of that one, this is at the beginning of the show. When we get done here, you go back and check it out. It's one of our CONA games of the week, a huge fight matchup. Go check out that ball game or our discussion about that game between the Bowling Springs Bulldogs and the Hillcrest Rams. But anything else, Strel, before we look now into 3A?
Let's roll to 3.
I saw a question about 2A as well, Barnwell. We'll get to that one here shortly, Kurt, also.
Hey, we'll lead off with that one. We got Barnwell hosting Orangeburg-Wilkinson this weekend. I think they win that game. Orangeburg-Wilkinson, not great. They're a bigger school, right? Being a 3A school. But Barnwell, I think, will be too much for OW in this one.
Orangeburg blown out by South Florence, things like 60-0, something like that last week. The Bruins are not looking good right now. Barnwell, though, back-to-back losses, kind of surprising there. I like what Coach Smith is building. I think they've got to find a running game. Cam Austin, the quarterback, is a stud, but he's their leading passer and rusher right now, and that puts a lot on his shoulders. They got to find somebody to run the ball, take some pressure off of him. I think they win this game at home as well. Fun place to play down at WW Carter Stadium or Carter Field, excuse me. I think the Warhorses get back on the right track and win this ball game.
I think so too. I think that's just what the doctor ordered for the Warhorses this week. Well, Belton Honeypath, they'll be hosting Woodruff. Aiken will be at Clinton. Talked about that a little bit earlier. Sherall will be at Darlington.
That's a sneaky good game there. Sherall, big bounce back, a win over a pretty good Hannah Pimlico team last week and held their offense like to 14. So really good defensive performance there. Darlington, they're getting better under Coach Johnson. They're not going to be world beaters this year, but they're getting better and better. Won their first game in a few years back in week 0. Played tough against a bigger Lugoff Elgin squad last week. I think Sherrall wins this one, but that could be a really good ball game over there in Darlington County.
Yeah, I think so. It could be a low-scoring affair if the Braves can get on the board a little bit. I like their odds in this one, but this could be a relatively close or a pretty close game here. This will be a fun one. We'll have Blue Ridge going to Eastside. Fountain Inn hosts Carolina. Carvers Bay will be at Georgetown. Gray hosting Camden. Big time ball game here for both squads. Gray taking a step up to 3A. Camden coming off a butt whipping against Hartsville. Important for the Bulldogs, I think, to bounce back and at least have a good showing on Friday.
This is always a really fun game. I think Gray may have beaten Camden 2 years in a row now. I think, John. I'm not sure about that, but I know they beat them 2 years ago with KZ. I think they may have beaten them last year as well. Let's go, right. Big Gray Joe. Yeah, a great matchup. Two great coaches, Coach Rimpton, Coach Holmes, going at it. This Gray team continues to get it done each week, whether it's on the ground with Montgomery or forward through the air with Waller and Dobson throwing to Lockett. Lockett is a stud at receiver. I feel like every week I see his highlight, he's just going up and mossing somebody, it feels like. I mean, he's putting up 100 plus, 150 plus, 2 touchdowns every week, it feels like. Camden, they need to bounce back. They were beat pretty bad last week. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it, John. I mean, those guys got blown out by Hartsville last week. Grayson White, though, we know what he can do. A lot of experience there. Obviously, Hickman, Mayrant, the defense has got to improve. They need Krim to play well. I'm excited to see Krim versus Lockett or Krim versus Alford either way. That'll be a fun matchup to watch there. Who do you like in this one, John? Because I can see this going either way right now.
I like Gray in this ball game. Gray's going to have that tape from last week of how you expose Camden's defense a little bit. We haven't seen many people do that the last few years like Hartsville did. Now, I'm not saying Gray's Hartsville and they can do everything that they do.
Right.
But I think Gray, we know that they're going to come in well prepared.
Yeah.
They're going to come in with a game plan. They've got good athletes on their side of the field too. I like Gray in this ball game.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop in here. Corey's got a good question for you guys. I thought it would be, since we're talking about Gray, might as well just jump on it.
Yeah. For this year in general, or you think about in the future, Drill?
I don't know what he means by that, but I guess maybe they might need to have a national schedule this year.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you guys, when you think about like these type of schools, you're thinking about like an IMG, who is literally just like a football academy. Gray is nowhere on the same size as an IMG. I mean, you can't have them play nationally because you look at a team like a 5A Dutch Fork or a 5A Fort Dorchester or a 5A even Spartanburg this week, who are much bigger schools than Gray, and they can't compete against the better schools in Florida or Georgia a lot of times. Even North Carolina, Dutch Fork lost to a Huff team last week that, is not I wouldn't say top level North Carolina team. So I don't think, and nothing against Gray, but there's not many teams that can play that kind of national schedule. I mean, everybody's not IMG. I mean, everybody's not, the Saint, the Don Boscos and these guys from across, California or, Pennsylvania, wherever. I don't think Gray, not saying they can't get there, but they're not at that level of those type of schools right now. I mean, Coach Holmes will tell you that. I mean, they're not that level of football school.
Yeah, and the only caveat I would give that is you don't have to play Grayson. You don't have to play Providence Day out of Charlotte. There's plenty of schools that you can play that are still very good football teams that are more in line with your level. Whether I think Gray should or needs to do that, I don't know the right answer to that. I think they get plenty of great competition stepping up a couple classes in the state of South Carolina. So I don't think they necessarily have to. And I would be interested, Corey, in if those conversations are happening because, from a development standpoint and building your program, building your team, still fairly new program. We talk about that with Gray, playing somebody that frankly is going to kick your butt isn't always a bad thing. And, maybe you do go out, into Georgia or North Carolina, you play somebody, maybe not Grayson level, but, a high level team that is very, very good. And, that I think there's a lot of worth in that, especially for a program like Gray that's very good at the 2A level. But I'd be interested to see if Gray is reaching out and trying to do that, or if other teams are reaching out to Gray trying to do that.
Yeah,
I'd be interested in that.
Looking at this year, obviously we know some of these teams are gonna forfeit against them and decline to play them. And Coach Holmes is working on finding some games to fit that, which is gonna be tough. I mean, because teams, they're not going to want to play 10, 11, or I guess 11, 12 ball games. So it's hard to find the replacements there. I don't know if he's looking at other states. I think he probably will have to, at least for one or two of those spots. But, Drell, think about this. When we talked to Coach Chad Wilkes at Oceanside Collegiate last year when he got hired, he said his goal was to be playing on ESPN. Now, I don't know if that is the same for Gray Collegiate. I don't know if they want to get to that level like an Oceanside does. But Oceanside, they want to get there. So, I mean, maybe it is something that Gray and Coach Holmes want to do eventually. But I think that is got to be years away, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. They don't have the infrastructure. They're not even done with their athletic facilities yet. I just thought it was an interesting question, but we'll keep rolling with 3A,
very cool to
guys.
think about. And I'm still skeptical. I don't know how y'all feel about it. I'm still skeptical on when that Friday comes. Are these teams really going to say no? We're not going to play Gray? Because I have a feeling some of them are going to say, you know what, we're going to play anyways. We don't,
Yeah, I know
that can be a totally different show to talk about all of that, but I think when the week comes around, I think some of these schools are still going to play the game.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few that won't, but I think some of the bigger ones, I think will show up. But let's look back at some more 3A here, John. Like you said, we could go down a big rabbit hole here if we don't.
great question though, Corey. That's fun to talk about. Yeah. So let's see. Where are we? Okay, hey, talking about out of state. Daniel will go play Hart County, Georgia on Friday. That's a road game for the Daniel Lions. We'll go over there. Johnsonville will host Waccamaw. Manning will be at Lake Marion. Ainer goes to Lakewood. Marlboro County will be at Oceanside. We touched on that game just a little bit. Marlboro County getting better. Oceanside should win this game, though.
I was surprised Marlboro County lost to Scotland County. That's what I thought they were going to win that ball game. Oceanside, a very nice win over Carolina Forest by a point. Long road trip from Marlboro County to get down there to Oceanside. I think the Land Sharks win this one. I think they may be a little bit better than what we think they are. I think we may be overrating what happened last year to them against Abbeville, kind of forgetting about how good a program they are this year. I think Oceanside wins this one, but it should be a fun ball game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Justin. I think more than likely Oceanside probably wins this game by a decent margin. But anything, I like to see Marlboro County get back to that high level program that we know they can be and get to. Just maybe not this Friday. They might not quite be there yet, but they're going the right direction. All right, we've got I lost my spot here. Okay, here we go. Gilbert will be at Pelion. Powdersville goes to Pendleton. Emerald will be at Saluda. Expect the Tigers to win that one pretty easily there.
Yeah, you said Powdersville Pendleton. That's an interesting game too. I think Powdersville finally got a win last week over Maul and got off the snide there. Pendleton's been putting up some nice offensive numbers so far this year. Do they have enough for the Patriots? I don't think so. But we'll see how good the Bulldogs are. But I think the Powdersville Patriots, once they got that first win out, I think they're good to go, man. I think they're going to start rolling a little bit.
I think so too. But Pendleton's got some promise this year. It'll be interesting to see how Pendleton progresses through the year. Battery Creek will go to Savannah Christian over the state line there. Walhalla will be at Southside High School. Lake City at St. James. St. Joseph's will host Seneca. Philip Simmons will be at Timberland. Broome goes to Union. Broome, if you're not already watching the Centurions, start doing it now.
Yeah, very good.
They'll win big Friday, I think, but they're going to be and again, I talk about that region. Or actually, ignore me. I'm thinking about a different region.
But they are good. Yeah.
Broome is good, and they will be fun to watch within their classification, within their region.
Yep.
We've got Swansea going to Wagner Sally. West Oak will be at Ware Shoals, and we mentioned this earlier, Dreer going to West Florence.
Drell, any 3A comments before we look down to the 2A ranks here? Saluda, we'll get down here in just a moment, Jalen. Those boys are rolling right now. We'll break it down their game here in a second. Anybody else, Drell?
Nothing really 3A pertaining. We got, always we got Derek in here.
Hey, I tell you what, Derek, your boys are playing some good ball up there up front for sure, man. If they can get Pepper going behind them, we'll be good to go. Obviously, we know what Hudgens can do there for them. Powdersville's still a lot of talent. Zach, good to have you, my man, in here. As far as the Tigers go, I'm not doing good. Not doing good, man. A little frustrated as always, but glad to have you in here. Yeah, I think Clinton should roll this week over Aiken. Next week over Chapman will be a tough ball game. You got to hope now they can stay healthy. I mean, they're a little bit injury bitten right now. Hopefully the Red Devils don't have that problem this week as well.
Yeah,
Let's
I'd
roll
like
it.
to see some better luck come the Red Devils' way here next few weeks, just from an injury standpoint.
Yeah, let's take a look at 2A now, John.
Fun game right off the bat here. Andrew Jackson is going to host Lamar.
Yeah.
Two pretty good ball teams. Of course, Lamar out of 1A, Andrew Jackson, the 2A team. That's going to be a fun matchup there.
Andrew Jackson, 2 losses in a row. They need a win. Lamar, I believe, also 2 losses in a row. They need a win. You think, Andrew Jackson, the home team, a little bigger school, probably wins this ball game. But I think we're looking at a defensive defensive struggle here in this. I think it's a low-scoring ball game. I think Lamar can pull it off late here. It should be a fun, I'm thinking like 20-17, low-scoring type ball game.
Lamar's got to find a way to get Thompson on the ground.
Yeah.
That's going to be the key for the Silver Foxes. If they can get Trey Thompson down on the ground, they have a very good chance of winning the ball game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think AJ wins, and I think that's why. I think AJ will be able to pound the ball pretty good in this game. They got a pretty solid offensive line play, and of course Thompson is a bulldozer himself. But should be a fun game regardless there. Academic Magnet will be at Bethune-Bowman. Chesney will play RS Central out of North Carolina. Great Falls will be at Columbia. Liberty goes to Dixie. Fairfield Central hosting Lancaster. C.A. Johnson going to Hampton County. Keenan will host North Central. Kingstree hosting Green Sea Floyds. Chesterfield going to Lakeview. Polk County out of North Carolina will visit Landrum. Lee Central will host Latta. Blacksburg goes to number 1 team in 1A, Louisville.
Louisville playing great football. Blacksburg playing good football too. Got a couple wins already after I think going winless last year, I believe it was. Quarterback Josh Sims, one of our players of the week this week. They're putting up big numbers behind Sims and Cameron Cobb on the receiving end. A lot of those could be a lot of points here. I think Louisville's a little bit better, a little better defense here. But Blacksburg could put up some points as well.
Hemingway will be at Marion. Ridgeland, Hardyville.
If you're Hemingway, you might want to try to cancel that game too.
I didn't want to say anything, but hopefully they play the game.
Yeah.
But we don't know what happened with the other game. I don't know what happened. Ridgeland, Hardyville will be at May River. Mid Carolina goes to 96. Mullins will be at Trinity Collegiate. Eau Claire goes to Whitmire. And St. John's will be at Woodland to round out 2A.
John, or Drill, any more 2A comments to address here before we move on?
No, just a lot of Saluda love in here. A lot of Saluda love.
I guess it's their bye week, right? Or who do they play, John? Did we go through a Saluda score there? Or did I miss that?
They play let's see here. We mentioned it. I want to say they go up and they play a 3A school.
I feel like we missed a Saluda game. Do you know, Drill?
I'm looking right now, doing some research.
We'll get it.
Yeah, anyway, so, Saluda last week shut out a previously unbeaten 96 team there. Played very good football. Kenmaine Brunson, big game on the ground. Also the leading tackler. Love to see that when those guys go both ways like that. They're playing good football. We talked about them before the season. Had lost a lot of seniors, which worries you at that 2A level, but had a lot of kids coming out, a lot of guys on the team, a lot of depth now. I think they're going to be a very good football team. Do you have it here, John?
Yeah, they're taking Emerald on. That's a winless 3A school.
Yep.
They're better than Emerald. Now, Emerald, they did play Hampton County very competitively.
They did.
3-point loss there.
I feel like typically Emerald's a big physical team. Don't have a lot of explosiveness, I would say. I think Saluda wins that one, but that'll be a sneaky good ball game as well. But I do like the Tigers and Coach Young to win that one. Yeah,
and looking at Emerald, actually, maybe I'm selling these guys short here. They had 1-point loss before that in 96.
Yeah.
So they can play. They haven't been able to win.
Yeah.
They've been right there at the doorstep, just haven't been able to get the W. But actually could be a good game for Saluda, or a good game to watch. It could be a close one. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Saluda wins that game.
Perfect. Anything else, 2A drill, before we look down to the 1A ranks?
No, let's go ahead and roll.
Perfect.
All right, we've got Burke going to Calhoun County. McBee will be at East Clarendon. Waccamaw going to Johnsonville. We'll have McCormick hosting Thornwell Charter. I don't know anything about this.
Thornwell's a newer school. I don't think they have seniors yet. I don't believe they're playing. They're They've got some athletes over there, just don't have a lot of depth, don't have a lot of experience. McCormick should beat them. But Thornwell's a kind of a newer school here in the upstate, kind of, I think, Lawrence County area, I believe.
Okay. We'll have Hunter Kinder Tyler going to Military Magnet. Scotch Branch hosting Cross.
I think Cross has got it figured out. It's kind of a surprising loss there early week 0 for them. A couple nice bounce backs. Beat Timberland last week in a big rivalry game. I think they're figuring. I think the Trojans are back, Terrell and John too.
Swansea will be at Wagner Sally. Ware Shoals hosting West Oak. Baptist Hill will go to Whale Branch. I think this was the game that was going to be a big deal last year that did not get played. Yes,
had an issue there at one of the schools. I think it was at Whale Branch, I believe that day. Whale Branch is a very good football team. I think Baptist Hill is a step down from where they were last year. I think the Warriors win this one. But I do want to mention that West Oak Ware Shoals game. West Oak's won like 2 football games already, John. And that is like 2 more than I thought they would win in the whole season. So I don't know if they're going to have to beat Whitmire, who's got some pretty good players down there for Coach Campbell. They're playing Ware Shoals. Sorry, not Whitmire. Pretty good players there for Coach Dodson. The low match kick and really get down on the ground. I think Ware Shoals wins this one, but hats off to West Oak and the boys for getting off the snide, getting a couple wins here early in the season.
Yeah. Hey, it's all gravy from here now, right?
Yeah.
We'll have Eau Claire goes to Whitmire. Wilson Elko will host Branchville, and Woodland hosting St. John's.
Perfect. Any 1A comments before we look at some SCISA games here?
Yeah, we got a couple for you guys.
Kenneth, good to have you, my man. Yeah, we got the Christchurch stuff. Appreciate Coach Hatfield and you guys taking care of us. Great ball game this week, hosting Riverside on our pick'em. Should be a fun one. I like the Cavs to win this one, John and Coach Ramey, but should be a fun matchup over here in Greenville County.
And I missed this in the 2A schedule. Sorry about that.
Ladder's rolling right now, man. They're putting up some points right now. Looking really good. I think they beat Lee Central as well.
And I don't know if you saw Dadrian's score prediction there. So
34-14. That sounds about right. Like I said, Blacksburg is not as bad as the teams that Louisville's been playing the last couple of weeks. I don't think. I think they're a little better than that. I like what the Sims kid can do. I think Louisville though with Grissom and Robinson and Howes and just stud after stud, Brown and I think they win this ball game.
That's it, guys. We're gonna thank the sponsors real quick and then just
look at a couple of SCISA games first before we do that. We've got Camden Military traveling to Northside Christian. Memorial Day going to John Paul II. Oakbrook Prep going to Lawrence Academy. Wilson Hall coming off the big last-second win over Lawrence Manning last week. They will go down to Thomas Sumter. Wardlaw going to Andrew Jackson. We've got Hammond traveling to Lawrence Manning. A potential 4A state title game preview here. Hammond, a tough loss last week to Gray. Lawrence Manning, the tough 3-point loss to Wilson Hall there in that one. Florence Christian trying to get off the snide. They're 0-3. They go to Orangeburg Prep. Spartanburg Christian going to Palmetto Christian. Atlanta Collegiate going to Cardinal Newman. We've got Patrick Henry going to Calhoun Academy. Hilton Head Prep going to St. Andrews. Hilton Head Christian going to Ben Lippin, a 3-0 Falcon team that is there. Jefferson Davis, fresh off of their win over Holly Hill. They'll go to King Academy. Porter Gow going to Heathwood Hall. That's a fun game there, I think, John. I know Heathwood Hall has some energy at the quarterback spot. I think he's back. We'll see how that goes there for them. Richard Wynn. Great offense there for Richard Wynn, the Eagles there. They go and take on Newberry Academy. Carolina Academy taking on Bethesda. We got Beaufort going to Greenwood Christian. We mentioned our game of the week, Pinewood Prep going to First Baptist. We got PD Academy traveling down to Dorchester Academy. I think the Golden Eagles get a win again here in that thing. We got Holly Hill hosting Faith Christian. Dillon Christian going to Lee Academy. Thomas Hayward going to St. John's, and King's Academy going to Williamsburg in the SCISA ranks. Dre, let's get a shout out to our friends of the program, and then we will get into the pick'em and a couple other things as well.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Let's take a look now at our pick'em brought to you by Hannah Engineering. We had a perfect score last week somehow from J.D. Patterson with a big 11 spot. If you guys haven't joined, Check it out. It's on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our website. Love to have you join. We drop your lowest score, so still got time to get in it. We may be doing some weekly prizes down the line as well. We'll see how that goes. But hats off to JD with an 11. We had Dale, Shannon, JB, Mitchell, and Demarion all with 9. Bunch of guys with 8. John, Drill, and I all had 7. So a little behind the pack there. We'll see how that goes. But hats off to JD on winning week 2. Then overall, a 2-way tie, JD and Dale at 25. Shannon and Dallas and Franklin all at 24. Darian and Peyton at 23. And 8 guys at 22. Drill, 22. John, 21. I'm at 21. Long way to go, but been a lot of fun. Big thanks to Hannah Engineering for sponsoring that. It's great. It's a lot of fun. It gives you a good reason to watch not only what your team or your region's doing, but watching the whole state keep up with it, John. I mean, I really enjoy it. And like you mentioned earlier, I looked at this week's games. There's some tough ones on there, man.
Really tough. It took me a while to fill it out today.
A lot of tough ones there. So definitely join that if you guys have not been a part of our pick'em. I want to give a quick shout out to our players of the week brought to you by the Georgia Agency. We had Drew Spires, a Richard Wynn. Big game for him. Receiving, playing defense, returning the ball, everything like that. Zion Dobson at Hampton County had a big game on the ground there for him. And then Joshua Sims at Blacksburg, a big game through the air in their win over at Cherryville. So appreciate the Georgia Agency sponsor our players of the week, Joshua Sims, Zion Dobson, and Drew Spires. John, another great show. Really enjoyed it. A lot of great content from our folks there. Hope you guys will check us out here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our live preview show here on Facebook and YouTube about 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights or so. We're in that ballpark. So you can set your reminders on there. We try to post an event that day with what time it is. Definitely join in there. Love to have you guys comment. Give us your thoughts. We do our recap show comes out on Sundays on our podcast platforms there. Our Friday Night Space has been a lot of fun. It's on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. If you guys go to a game, we'd love you to have you join in on Twitter. Let us know about the game that you're at. You can either text us the score or your thoughts, and you could hop in and talk with us. It's really interactive. It's a lot of fun to do. We have guys hop in from different coaches, different players, different announcers, different fans from all across the states. Definitely want you guys to join. I know last week we had guys from from BHP and from Fort Dorchester and then Burns. And we had guys down in Aiken County and guys in the PD area. Lots of guys from all across the states. Definitely join us on our spaces on Friday nights. We said when we mentioned our players of the week, our pick 'em, our teams of the week. We've got some good interviews coming up for you guys. Darrell, John, anything I'm missing here that I'm plugging or should be plugging that I haven't mentioned yet?
I think you got it covered. We'll look forward to some hot dogs on Friday. See what we got wherever we go.
Yeah, no, you got them all. Let's get some cleanup comments here. Some more questions for you guys before we get out of here.
Who wins 5A? It's wide open right now, Jay. Obviously, before the season, we're all very high on Dutch Fork because how can you not be? They haven't really been where we thought they're going to be right now. So, Gaffney's up there. They're a favorite, of course. Somerville is one in the poll. I like to see a little bit more out of Somerville, so we'll see how that goes. I
like Spartanburg.
I'm a little worried about Spartanburg's offense, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But 5A should be a lot of fun. Sumter's a good ball team as well. Southside Texas, Hartsville going to have a say in the 4A. Yeah, Hartsville, I think, is one of the top 3 in 4A right now. No doubt about it. I think they're my preseason lower state pick to win 4A. I think they're very good.
This goes back to our Gray conversation.
Yeah, Thomas, and I don't know if you or Drell or one of you guys know, John, maybe what the rule is. I know that they, the high school league wants them to let them know ahead of time, but how far in advance we'll know Thursday or Friday of the game. No, Corey, I think if they wait that long, I think they will get in trouble from what I could tell from the most recent ruling. If they wait until that late, I think they will get fined. I think if they tell them ahead of time, I think it's going to be okay. So I think they're going to know a little bit before then, I believe, at least a week or so in advance, if not 2 weeks. Region 3 2A is really tough. Yeah, Saluda, Silver Bluff, Strom Thurman, all really good football teams. Will be a lot of fun. Johnsonville at Latta. Yeah, that's just your ball game there. Johnsonville, tough loss week 0 to North Central. But we know what they got with Malik Shippey and Ken Cribb and those guys there. Latta playing some great football. Next week will be a great measuring stick for the Vikings. Appreciate you, Bradley, man.
Thanks, Bradley.
Gaffney, another great ball game this week. I think they've got a good chance to win at Mallet Creek, but will be a tough one for sure. When y'all coming to Marion, I tell you what, we need to get down to Fox Field. It's a historic Fox Field, John and Drill, actually.
I've been before. Corey, I was actually my one trip to Marion. I was probably I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. I got to be ball boy for a first-round playoff game at Marion. Marion won.
Yeah, Marion's has some studs, man. Back in the day, you look at a good Zeddy Hemingway or even a DJ Goss, depending on how far you back you want to go. But Swamp Boxers are fun. Great place to see a ball game. May have to make it down there if these boys keep rolling for sure. Eric says Gaffney, Burnsbury, Silverville. Yeah, and the problem is I think all these teams have flaws or inconsistencies right now. You look at what Burns did 2 weeks ago, losing to Chapman. Very surprising there. Somerville, I'm still a little bit worried about those guys. Something just doesn't quite feel right. I think they're a very good football team. I love Yannick Smith, but we'll see as they continue to go. Gaffney, obviously, we saw them week 0 not look great against Crest. Come back 2 nice wins in a row. So they're a good football team as well. Yeah,
if they play a little more discipline, they're going to be a lot of trouble for everybody.
Terrence says Denmark over Allendale. Yeah, Denmark is rolling, man. I don't know how high they are in the poll. I think they're top 5. I think Jarrell. And John, I think you got to put up over there. Yeah. I would not be surprised to see they're number 4. Yeah, they might be higher than that in our poll when we do ours here in a week or two. I like the Vikings a lot, Terrence. They're getting it done on both sides of the ball.
They've been very impressive. Really as impressive as anybody in 1A.
That's a wrap for the comments tonight, man.
Perfect. Well, guys, I'm excited for a great week of football. Like I said, not maybe the high-tier games we'll usually see, but a lot of very good games. We'll put it that way. But will be a lot of fun. So for Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our Week 3 preview show, and we will catch you guys soon.